The NBA is full of surprises, from crazy storylines from media to plot twists that no one expected in trades, or star players simply signing with another team. But what about the most successful teams that were built from the ground up? In today's video, I'm going to list 6 most successful teams that were built from scratch. Hey, it's KJ. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video.
KJ, good looking, baby. Yeah.
7 days a week, I've been working 7 days a week. I've been.
Let's start off with the Showtime Lakers. Showtime Lakers are one of the best teams in history, one of the most prestigious teams in all the NBA, and dominated the league during the 80s. Now let's take you back to 1979. Lakers owner Jack Kent Cooke was in the process of selling the team to Jerry Buss, possessing the first overall pick in the upcoming 1979 NBA draft. The Lakers narrowed their choices to either Magic Johnson or Sidney Moncrief. Los Angeles already had a fine point guard in Norman Nixon, who was also drafted by the Lakers in 1977, making Moncrief a potentially wonderful complement at off guard. However, Cooke liked Johnson's smile and playing style. In one of Cooke's last acts as Lakers owner, the Lakers drafted the point guard Magic Johnson. Now, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was still in his prime around this time, but he couldn't lead the Lakers to a championship, and Johnson was expected to help them achieve that goal. Lakers coach Jack McKinney played Magic Johnson at point guard, even though they already had Norman Nixon, who was already one of the best point guards in the league. Magic would go on to average 18 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, and 7.3 assists per game for the season, and was selected for the All-NBA rookie team, and appeared in the NBA All-Star game as a starter. In the NBA Finals of 1980, the Lakers defeated the Philadelphia 76ers in a 6-game series, with rookie Magic Johnson winning the Finals MVP, averaging 21 points, 11 rebounds, and nearly 9 assists per game. It didn't stop there. In 1982, with the first overall pick, the Los Angeles Lakers selected James Worthy, a 6'9" small forward from North Carolina. Worthy immediately made an impact as a rookie, averaging 13.4 points per game and shooting a Laker rookie record for 57.9% from the field. With his speed, dynamic ability to score with either hand, and dazzling play above the rim, Worthy thrived with the Lakers' style of offense. Worthy was also one of the best post players at his position, with a quick spin move and a deadly turnaround jump shot. In the 1988 NBA Finals, James Worthy won the Finals MVP, averaging 22 points, with 49% shooting from the field. One key part to the Showtime Lakers' success that we cannot forget is the dominance of Michael Cooper. Selected by the Los Angeles Lakers in the 3rd round of the 1978 NBA Draft with the 60th overall pick, Cooper became an integral part of the Showtime Lakers during the 1980s with his defensive skills. In his 12-year career, he appeared in 8 NBA All-Defensive teams, including 5 NBA All-First teams. He won NBA Defensive Player of the Year in 1987. He, along with Kareem Abdul and Magic Johnson, was a member of the 5 Laker championship teams. Next up, the Boston Celtics. In 1978 NBA Draft, the Celtics selected Larry Bird with the 6th overall pick. However, he did not play with the Celtics immediately. Instead, he played out his final season in Indiana State and led them to an NCAA title game. In 1979 to 1980, in Bird's rookie season, he immediately transformed the Celtics into a title contender. The team improved its total by 32 wins from the year before he was drafted, from a record of 29-53 to 61-21. And finished first in the Eastern Conference. He averaged 21 points, 10.4 boards, 4.5 assists, and 1.7 steals per game. He was selected to the All-Star team and named Rookie of the Year. Before the 1980-81 season, the Celtics selected forward Kevin McHale in the 1980 draft with the 3rd overall pick, and also acquired veteran Robert Parrish from the Golden State Warriors. For the first 5 years of his career, McHale primarily came off the bench for the Celtics, winning the NBA Sixth Man of the Year in back-to-back years, 1984 and 85 season. McHale's best season came in 1986-87 season, when he was named to the All-NBA First Team. He led the NBA in field goal percentages in 86-87 and 87-88 season, shooting 60% from the field each season, averaging 26 points and 10 rebounds in the 86-87 season. The Boston Celtics had what many considered the league's best ever front line, with small forward Larry Bird, McHale at the 4, and Robert Parrish at the 5. In 1981 NBA Finals, the trio would win their first championship together, defeating the Houston Rockets in a 6-game series. Fun fact, Cedric Maxwell, who was also drafted by the Boston Celtics, won the Finals MVP that year, averaging nearly 18 points and 9 rebounds, and was the only player in history to win Finals MVP without any All-Star appearances or All-NBA teams. In the 1984 NBA Finals, the Celtics would defeat the Los Angeles Lakers in a 7-game series, with their Finals MVP, Larry Bird, averaging 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 steals during the series. And the trio's last chip came in 1986 when they defeated the Houston Rockets in a Game 6 series in the NBA Finals. And just like the Showtime Lakers, the Boston Celtics also dominated the 80s. And this next team are none other than the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons were one of the most iconic teams ever and played in one of the most iconic eras in NBA history. The mid to late 1980s was the perfect time to watch basketball. NBA skyrocketing with talent, prime years of Magic and Bird, the rise of a young Michael Jordan, and then you had the Pistons. The Pistons were the public enemy of the NBA. They were the most hated team in the league because of their physical style of play, and they were outplaying the more popular teams. They were them. Isaiah was a motherfucker. Bill Laimbeer was a cold, and Joe Dumars.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I'm sorry. Got carried away. This is awkward. Let's take it back all the way to the 1981 draft. With the second overall pick, the Detroit Pistons selected the 6'1" point guard Isaiah Thomas from Indiana. Isaiah would instantly become the face of the franchise, averaging 17 points per game in his rookie season and starting his first All-Star game in 1982. He proved that he was no joke, but still would need help before kicking the bad boy era into full gear. In the middle of Isaiah's rookie season, Pistons also acquired Bill Laimbeer, a tough physical center who was often criticized for his playing style. His physicality was the center of a lot of controversy. The man's was ruthless. In the 1985 draft, the team selected Joe Dumars with the 18th pick. He was known for his defense, and his skill set really complemented the team's identity. Fast forward to 1986 draft, the Pistons picked up both bigs, John Sally at number 11, who was a great role player alongside Dennis Rodman with the 27th pick, and turns out he would be one of the most unique players of all time, and was a perfect fit for the team. This is when the Bad Boys era fully kicked in. In the 1986-87 season, the Pistons won 52 games, landing them in the 3rd seed and ranked 5th best in defense, and their success would only take off for the better. In 1989 season, they finished their record with 63 wins, which up until now was the best record in franchise history. And in the finals, they swept the Lakers to win their first NBA championship. And in 1990, they would defeat the Portland Trail Blazers in a 5-game series in the finals, winning the NBA championship back-to-back. Now let's go into the era of the 90s, the Chicago Bulls. In 1984, with the 3rd overall pick, the Chicago Bulls selected Michael Jordan. From the moment he stepped on an NBA court, he performed at an MVP level, averaging 28 points in his rookie season, appearing in every All-Star game since entering the league. The only problem was that Michael Jordan was a lone star with a collection of role players on the Bulls during the 80s, which prevented him from going deep in the playoffs. Which brings us to the 1987 NBA draft. Now, before the draft even started, Chicago Bulls already had high interest in Scottie Pippen. The only problem was Chicago's pick was at number 8. So Chicago manufactured a trade with the Seattle Supersonics that would send Pippen, the 5th overall, to the Bulls in exchange for Olin Polynice and future picks. So even though Pippen wasn't selected by the Bulls, on paper, he was selected by the Bulls.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Pippen emerged as one of the league's premier young forwards at the turn of the decade, recording his career high at the time, 16.5 points per game, 6.7 rebounds per game, and shooting 49% from the field, while ranking 3rd in steals with 211. The duo frequently played one-on-one outside of team practices, simply to hone each other's skills on offense and defense. In the 1991 NBA Finals, the Chicago Bulls would defeat Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers in a 5-game series, with the duo averaging a combined of 50+ points per game, with Jordan averaging 31.2 points per game and Pippen averaging 21 points per game. And that would be the first of what would soon be their three-peat championship victory. Michael Jordan retired in the 93-94 season, but came back the following year, this time with Chicago even adding more X-Factor Dennis Rodman from the Spurs, and some key role players in Steve Kerr and Ron Harper. Chicago Bulls would cruise through yet another three-peat title run from 96 to 98. Now we have the San Antonio Spurs. Now, when you think of passing of the torch, you think of carrying tradition from one successor to another, continuing a legacy of your own while holding the ones before you with great honor and respect. And that's exactly what the Spurs organization did. Within 3 decades, they passed on the torch from one legend to another, built one of the most prestigious dynasties in franchise history, while grooming a future superstar who would become one of the best two-way players in today's NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs select David Robinson from Navy.
With the first pick in the 1997 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Tim Duncan from Wake Forest University.
The San Antonio Spurs select Emmanuel Ginobili.
The San Antonio Spurs select Tony Parker of Racing Club.
The Spurs team, and I'm just happy to be here and just at an organization that really wants me.
Here's how the story goes. David Robinson was the first overall pick selected by the San Antonio Spurs in the 1987 draft, but didn't play until 2 years later because he was finishing his naval services for the US. The Spurs came off of one of the worst seasons in franchise history, with their record being 21-61 in the 88-89 season. And in David's rookie season, he produced one of the biggest turnarounds in NBA, leading the Spurs to a remarkable 35-game improvement, with their record being 56-26. David changed the franchise instantly, averaging 24 points and 12 rebounds per game in his rookie season, and was one of the best centers in the 90s, winning Defensive Player of the Year award in 92, scoring champ in 94, was the league's MVP in 95. He's done it all. The 10-time All-Star was on a roll. But like Jordan, he needed some help to get his team to the championship. Now fast forward to the 1997 draft. The Spurs selected Tim Duncan with the first overall pick, and it was a match made in heaven. With TD and Admiral, as well as the organization, Duncan averaged 21 points and 12 rebounds per game in his rookie season. And just like David Robinson being one of the best centers to ever play the sport of basketball, Duncan became one of the best power forwards in NBA history. And in the finals of 1999, the Spurs defeated the Knicks to win their first championship, with Duncan averaging 27 points and 15 rebounds per game, and David Robinson averaging 16 points and 12 rebounds per game. And later on in that year, the Spurs would go on to select Manu Ginobili with the 57th pick in the 1999 draft, aka Mr. Eurostep, who would be the glue guy in the dynasty. In 2001 draft, they would add yet another additional key piece. The Spurs selected Tony Parker with the 28th pick, and turns out the two would be the best European NBA players of all time. And in the finals of 03, they would go on to defeat the New Jersey Nets in a 6-game series, with Duncan averaging 24 points, Tony Parker averaging 14 points, Ginobili coming off the bench averaging 8 points, and David Robinson averaging 11 points. Both Robinson's and Duncan's second title, and Parker and Ginobili's first. David Robinson retired later on that year, but the beautiful part about it was, after his gruesome back injury in 1997 season, he didn't give up hope in the Spurs organization winning an NBA title. And with all of his accolades, he humbly took a position as a role player to help the young Duncan and the Spurs organization achieve that goal. But the era of the Spurs was a long way from being over. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili would go on to win 3 more NBA championships, becoming one of the most decorated trios in NBA history. And in their later years, they still had a torch to pass, with the San Antonio picking up Kawhi Leonard, who was selected by the Indiana Pacers, but was traded to the San Antonio Spurs in exchange for George Hill. Kawhi would help the trio win their last chip in the 2014 finals against the Heat in a 5-game series, with Kawhi being the finals MVP. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker would soon retire a few years later. And even though Kawhi left the Spurs organization, he has become one of the best two-way players in the league today. That proves that the San Antonio Spurs organization genuinely cares about grooming young talent and future stars of their own, which is why they are one of the most respected franchises in all of NBA. And last on our list are the Golden State Warriors. Now, it's no secret that the Golden State are the best team in the NBA, appearing in NBA Finals for 5 consecutive years and won a chip before KD joined and crushed our dreams. Warriors were one of the most organically structured teams in the last 10 years, drafting Steph Curry with the 7th pick in the 2009 draft, Klay Thompson in 2011 with the 11th pick in the NBA draft, Harrison Barnes with the 7th pick, and Draymond Green with the 35th pick in the 2012 NBA draft. The organization did the smartest thing by simply letting them grow together. In doing that, they won their first chip in 2015, broke the Bulls' previous 72-win record with their own 73-9 in the 15 and 16 season, and they still plan on continuing to dominate the league. So the rest we'll just have to see. Honorable mentions goes to the 1960s Boston Celtics, drafting the great Bill Russell, Bob Cousy, JoJo White, Sam Jones, John Havlicek, Dave Cowens, and Tom Henson. And 15 to 16 Cleveland Cavaliers, because although LeBron left to go to Miami, he still came back home to the place where they drafted him and won a chip, along with Kyrie, who was also drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that topic is still debatable, but let me know what you think in the comments section. I hope you guys enjoyed the video so much. Hit that notification bell, and again, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more music and basketball. I'm KJ, I'm out.
Remember where we used to scrape just to get by? The loyalty was even hard to find.